Good afternoon, post shifters. It's Shawn. Welcome to the post shift shots, your midweek little blip of hospitality opinions and advice. This week I'm talking about mentorship, first week of filming, so we're going to see how this rolls out. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be something we stick to or not, but you'll be able to see me on YouTube and Facebook and a whole bunch of other platforms as well. But this week I want to talk about mentorship. As I get a little bit older, I'm changing the way I look at mentorship within the consulting realm that I work in. And I still bartend at PAGS part-time, so and go to school. So I like to see how each culture that I'm within, how my mentorship changes. So in the Victoria cocktail scene, I have a few managers who I've either trained to come up, and now I get random texts. Sometimes I get random, completely stranger sort of texts and phone calls asking for advice on opening bars and restaurants and that sort of thing. So mentorship has been important to me over the last couple of years, but even more important in the last 18 months or 2 years. And I feel that my experience at FTW with the people that I worked with at FTW probably have a big influence on that. Before that, I was sort of always the leader, and my level of mentorship and training has definitely changed over the years as well. Starting as a young bartender, it was definitely much more about self-education and teaching yourself the way you probably should be taught, like lots of books and lots of videos. This is before the internet, so you had to self-teach yourself, and that was a big thing for me coming through the ranks. And so when I started managing, it was very hard for me to understand this new concept of education and I wouldn't say lack of self-education, but people these days definitely have a supercomputer in their hands, so it's always a little bit easier for them to get the knowledge that they need and crave on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all the social media platforms, plus the websites that are attached to that, liquor.com and Punch. And you can learn so much so quickly, but you still have to go out and find it. And so the way people learn these days is very different, which means as a trainer, I have to train differently, and as I mentor is very different. So for me, I've changed the way I mentor. I've been a bit more understanding, a little bit more listening instead of talking. It's a two-way street. And a lot of the people that I've worked with over the last 18 months, Raven at Pagliacci's, Marley, Mike, Alistair, Jared, Christine, Westy at FTW, and then before that, the guys at Cafe Mexico, which I've sort of changed the relationship that we have now because I don't work with them. I'm sort of just their sort of spring off board. And so it's sort of changed the way I speak and changed the way I think. And I never used to be, I would never say I was a great mentor back before. Maybe other people might disagree with me on this one, because it was always an expectation from me, from the person to self-teach themselves, to learn themselves, and then bring that knowledge to sort of with mine. And so when FTW opened, and we're definitely much more of a modernist style space, I had a lot of these people who all of a sudden were teaching me things that they learned, or bringing me concepts that they'd seen on videos or blogcasts and stuff like that, and then decided to go, okay, well, how do I apply this to this sort of place? So I would take my experiences doing efficiencies and making things easier, and applying their elevated expectations to that. And I think that was where I really started understanding that as I get older, where I was at a certain age and where bartenders are now at that age is way more elevated because of the amount of knowledge and because of the amount of mentors that are in the industry now. So how do you become a mentor? I don't think you purposely become a mentor. It's more of an experience, and people look up to you, and you set a certain tone that people will respect. But for me as a mentor, I like to look out for mentees. So I every now and then when something gets posted on social media, I like to reach out to the person who posted it, whether they're having a hard time or having troubles with something, or they need staff, or something that they post on social media. I like to reach out, and I like to think that the same way applies the other way, where it's if you see someone who you wish to have as a mentor, you should reach out to them, because the worst thing they're going to say is no. I think I've talked about this a couple of times, where it's who cares what the answer is. You've just asked. Asking Philip Duff, Gary Reagan, Wondrich something to like ask about your opinion about your new menu or something. If you've met them at Tails or friends with them on Facebook, reach out to them. Open up a line of dialogue, and you as a mentor, you can get as much back as you can put in, and as a mentee, it's the same way. It's a two-way street, so you can give a lot and get back a lot, but you have to sort of put yourself out there, because asking for help and asking for advice is a very a place of vulnerability, where a lot of people think that they're not capable of doing a job if they're asking for help. And I look at it the other way, as like, ask for help, make your life easier. I think everybody needs to make their life a little bit easier these days. So that's my take on mentorship. It's a 5-minute blip for the midweek. This weekend, I'm not sure who I'm going to be putting up on Friday. I feel like it's going to be Hallie Forrest, but it might be Donnie Ronan. Both Claire Burton-Lang and Dave Mitten are both two pieces, so I got to sort of cobble them together. I hope that you're liking everything. Please rate me on iTunes and that sort of thing. I got my first 1-star review yesterday, so I'm loving the fact that I've got a 1-star review 3 episodes in. But hey, they must have listened to the 3 episodes and hated it that much to give me a 1-star. So on that note, don't let the haters hate on you. Hate on them. And I will see you on Friday.